Good morning, United Kingdom. Good morning. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer for the alternative business and property communities. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What's the weather like there in London, southeast?
It's raining, bit drizzly, bit dark, bit damp.
Bit
Nevertheless,
dark.
a lovely, gorgeous, beautiful day.
Excellent. No rainy, no cornflakes, like I say. Yeah, okay. So we've got a continuation of the topic yesterday, and that is tier 4. It's quite worrying. I think a lot of people are getting slightly more worried this time. I think the first time it was a bit of a shock to the system, first time for everyone. People weren't prepared. I think this time, with the news that it's a bit more of a, so they're saying it's a bit more of a mutated virus. So, it's a bit more aggressive, I think they're saying, the words they're using. And people are now possibly a bit more aware of what they are going to face. And like we had Mandy on yesterday telling us about personal experiences, and lucky you also had some personal experiences during these last 6 or 7 months. People facing some effects of the virus. It must be slightly more worrying the second time. I don't know. That's the general feeling I'm getting from the people I'm speaking to. Today we have a wonderful guest, and as usual, I will introduce them after a few minutes. Mary, don't quite have a surname, but I hope she will give it to us. All right, Mary Cullum. That's right, Mary Cullum, and she's waiting in the background. We'll call her in a few minutes after we've warmed up Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, to the alternative business of property solutions. Got his input and intake on the topic. So the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that extra effort. That's the second saying for this week. So this week's saying is the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that extra effort that we put in. And Lakhi Singh, have you ever had to put in extra effort to make that ordinary deal become an extraordinary deal?
I think every deal is extraordinary because you've got to put the effort into everything. But the difficulty is trying to find a balance between putting too much effort into something so that you can have a cookie cutter approach as well. So there's a fine balance with that. So you have to draw the line somewhere. But it's nice to be able to put as much time as you can for it. But it's important to draw the line between putting too much time in, because if you've got 1,000 different things to deal with, how do you manage them so that you don't end up not completing everything else you need to get done?
Okay. I think this probably relates to businesses that have a variation of clients. So clients that are your bulk standard clients who fit in the cookie scenario, cookie cutting scenario. And then you have clients who are bespoke. I think that's the right word to use, who are bespoke in their requirement, in their need, and in their mannerism. They like to be given special treatment. So I think that happens across the board in most businesses. Even the banks have a separate section to do with alternate and high net worth clients. It's normally called private banking or other So I think there's always an element of wanting to give service at different levels. The quality of service is possibly got to be consistent, but the level of service at the different levels is another matter. Quality cannot be compromised because of somebody being from the general stream of your business and then the business that is regarded as being bespoke, possibly. Before we have the answer to that question, we're going to get on. The lovely Mary, as usual, I will introduce her like Luther Van Ross to Maria Carey waiting in the wings. We have Mary.
Hi.
Mary, quite contrary. Mary, morning. Hi. How are you doing? How you doing?
Because I'm echoing. That's better.
You're echoing. You're in a tunnel? Are you in a tunnel or have you got the volume on?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not anywhere. We're not allowed out in a tunnel anymore, are we? We're trapped on an island.
Excellent. Well, that would be quite a difficult position to be in, that if you were being allowed out and your out was a tunnel, it means you're either a miner or you work on the underground, or you're either somebody who works in Eurotrain, being allowed out into a tunnel. But no, you sound lovely. You've got a lovely, bubbly personality, which is the most important thing. Hey,
Vital.
Pardon?
Vital in property that you have a sense of humor and can laugh at anything. Absolutely vital.
The lovely. Okay, let me guess. If I'm not wrong, if I'm wrong, have you got a Turkish background somewhere?
Not that I know of, unless my mother has told me something.
Or are you Irish?
I'm Irish, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I heard pick the twang in your. What's the crack?
Sorry?
What part of Ireland are you from? What's the crack?
I'm from near Dublin, 30 miles from
Dublin. Excellent. You got the twang. So I just heard a slight hint of the twang, which is a lovely twang to have. It's not a bad twang. I like nice twangs. Okay, Mary, tell us a bit about yourself. Obviously, you're in property. You've hinted that to us in a very subtle way. Tell us, what are you into and where have you come from? What's your journey? What are you selling? And what were you selling in the past?
Selling, I don't really think of it in those terms. I think of it more as, who am I helping?
Excellent. You're going to get lots of arts this morning, Mary. You're going to be well, you got the first one from me. Everybody we have on has got a lovely personality. I think COVID is obviously bringing the best out in everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's the upside of COVID. But you're probably always as nice as this. Is that right, Mary?
Yeah. So I've rebuilt myself with positivity. So yeah. And I tend to think now that so I have quite a strong mindset that actually our hardest times are the makings of us.
Wow.
And I think if we actually, when something happens to us that we don't want, if we completely turn it upside down and think, actually, this is really good. And that's kind of how I live my life now, to be honest. So obviously, within a day, there's lots happens in property, but to not attach yourself to whether it's up or down is extremely important to be in the long game. It's a long game.
The long game, the long game. That sounds very strategic. A tent of Churchill trapped inside this female's body, I think.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
Yes, it is. Right. We should call you Mary Churchill in future.
Yeah, okay.
Right, okay. Going across to Lakhi Singh, the question to be answered. When have you put that extra effort in, sir, to become extraordinary, even though you say every deal is extraordinary. It's another way of looking at every client being treated with a due respect. I think it only gives you a begs for your type of thinking. Again, another positive person in these difficult times, the property fixer, Lakhi Singh. Tell me then, have you ever felt then you are taking out extra effort to make something extraordinarily good?
First of all, good morning, Mary. How you doing?
Hi.
Good. Great to have you on the show. I think Mary looks more like a pop star. I think she looks like a famous singer.
Pop star.
Looks like what's it now? But she look like she looks more like Little Mix.
I haven't got my glasses on, but I can.
Okay.
She looks like
Little Mix. That is so funny.
Trying to think now.
Can you sing, Mary? Can you sing? She's Irish. I bet she's got a good voice.
I can sing and dance if I've had a few drinks, but it's a bit early in the morning, boys.
Top of the morning to you, because it's too early in the morning to drink. Too early in the morning to drink. Top of the morning to you. Right, Lakhi Singh, continue.
So the question is, what is it that where is it that I do something extraordinary? I think
you've done something extra then. If you're saying everything is extraordinary, that's a wonderful way to look at business. And I think it's a wonderful way of looking at all your clients as being each in their own right, being extraordinary, being individual, and each one being special. But have you ever felt you've taken the extra effort out to make something work extraordinarily well?
Well, there's about 20 or 30 things I sort of do, which I think I really want to do, which I think I do extraordinarily well. But it goes back to what Mary was saying earlier, which is helping people. I do usually go beyond the call of duty to help people that have got issues they can't see a way around them. But normally, because we help people with property and business problems, or even getting a new income. So going the extra mile every day is actually something that I really enjoy doing anyway. So it makes it quite what to call it. So work doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're giving back. So that's
okay. Giving back, helping people. Wonderful words, are all lovely words, making me feel so fluffy and lovely this morning. 3 love hearts already. I think, Mary, you've got someone stalking you and you've brought them onto the show with you. Someone's sending out 3 love hearts, 3 different people. We've got about 12 people watching us on the YouTube.
I like love hearts.
That's it. There you are. You got more. You got 1 for me straight away. You got another 3.
Honestly,
4 already.
The love. I need it.
You like the love, right? So we're already 4 into love hearts, and we've hardly started. Mary, you are a bit of a good luck. You're a good luck charm to us. So tell me.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me then. Have you ever found yourself putting the extra mile in, the extra effort in to make something extraordinarily helpful? Because you say you're helping people. Have you ever helped someone extraordinarily?
All the time, like Lakhi, all the time I do that. In my work, I always over deliver, always. And I think also it's, no matter what it is, it's just trying to do your very best in that will always get you recognized. Or a lot of people contact me. I don't sell courses or anything, to help them in their property journey, or they look at me as someone very positive who's come from having to completely rebuild my business 5 years ago. And I can relate to depression. I can relate to just not feeling good enough. I can relate to feeling like I'm getting property.
I think we're really lucky. We've got a bunch of wonderful women that we seem to get lucky for every day. Every time we've got somebody in, there is always something new and wonderful that we've got to say. I think you're a special lady, Mary.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, we are
I think you
entering
are.
a new era in the world, which is the feminine energy. And
feminine energy. I've got another word for that.
Yeah, I don't know if you know a lot about that, but I think
energy, right?
Feminine energy in property.
Is that a bit like the Power Rangers? Get together, feminine energy.
No,
and hit my own over the head. Is that one of those things? Is it?
No, it's what it is. I think obviously a lot more women are coming into property, and it's about being able to come into property and remain in the feminine. You don't have to be like a man to succeed in property. I think that's a really important message. And women are getting burnt out in property if they're in the masculine. That's when you get
masculine. Okay, that's an interesting topic, actually, Mary. I've got my opinions on that. I'm going to go.
Oh, good.
Take a special program out for you on women energy and the misconception of women who are trying to imitate men. I think isn't that what you're alluding to? Men or women trying to compete and imitate men, where they can just be as powerful and as productive being women. Is that somewhere about right?
I mean, I still think it's a very male-dominated industry. You know, I'm on site a lot. I've always been the only woman on site.
Yes.
So I'm just saying, present day, I'd like to see a lot more women, a lot more young women come into property, because we're so good at multitasking.
That makes sense.
And we're so good at educating. I mean, men are too. I'm not saying they are.
No. Let's be honest. Women are better multitaskers as an average. We've got to accept that. It's not a lie. I think we've heard it in more than one different occasion. I've heard it in more than one different occasion in my 26 years since I've been on the planet. I've heard it all the time. And I think it's an accepted fact. I think it comes from nature and comes from the inherent motherly instincts that women have. But I think there's lots of other reasons for it as well. But, okay, the question is, you're always going out there. Obviously, an expensive employee to have. If you've got a pizza parlor, do not be looking at employing someone like Mary Churchill, because she over-delivers and you will be out of pizza product by the evening, because people will have bought a pizza and ended up with two without paying for it. You can't work there. Anyhow, the question, tier 4. Before we ask the right person the right question, I'm going to give a big shout out to John Smith, Amar Ali, and Mandy, all listening in, giving a good big shout out this morning. Hi to them all. Okay, I've asked Lakhi a question yesterday, so we've had some answers. Tell me, Mary, so I want to continue with you because I want to probe into your mind. You haven't told us, actually. I've had to guess. Are you more on the project management construction side of property? Is that correct?
Well, I have a property portfolio, so I'm a property provider, but I'm also an interior brand designer. So I work for landlords, property companies, and I brand and do the interiors for their projects. So yeah, that's mainly what I do. But mainly I'm working on my own projects. I have worked abroad and built luxury villas and renovated palaces. So ooh, I have had a lot of crazy times in property. And yeah, now
what's the most expensive chandelier you've purchased, Mary, for someone?
Ooh.
How much was it?
haven't really done big chandeliers, if I'm honest. Not my
All
thing.
right. Okay. Is it more fabrics and upholstery? Is it?
No, I mean I have done new builds, so you know I'm an all-rounder really. So I have built luxury properties from the ground up. So I've done that abroad and here in the UK.
Okay, tell us a bit about yourself first, because you've not told us. You've jumped in with Femen. Is that what it's called, Femen? But you haven't told us a bit about yourself. You haven't told us where you've come from, where you're going to, what part of the United Kingdom you're in, where are you working from? Are you a sole trader? Are you a company with about 17 employees? What's the background?
So yeah, I'm Irish. I've obviously left Ireland quite a while ago. I've had a corporate career working in the city, but I did actually travel around the world on my own for 3 years. So I've done a lot of traveling. And before getting into property, I had a jewelry business. I was a jewelry designer and manufacturer.
Were you lost?
I then went to a country called Montenegro.
Were you lost?
For 8 years. Have you lost me?
Can't hear you. You're breaking up. Because you're breaking up, I'm going to jump over to... You're breaking up.
Oh, okay.
There's a problem with your internet. Mary, is it ours or hers?
Mine's okay.
You've got a problem with your internet. Can't hear you.
I can hear Mary fine. I can't really hear you very fine.
Can't hear you properly. You need to fix your internet.
I think Mary is fine. We can't really hear you very clearly.
Cables. Fix your cables. You need to fix your cables. You can't hear you. Okay. Redial in, please. Okay, Lakhi Singh. While we're waiting for Mary to redial, can you hear Mary? Oh, is she? I think she's fine as well, but her internet is not working.
Hear me.
I can hear Mary fine.
You're breaking up, Mary.
Thank you.
You're breaking up. What's the crack?
Do you want me to dial in again?
I can hear you in bits. I can hear you in bits. You're breaking up.
Okay, I can dial in again.
Your voice is coming in bits.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you now. I'm going to dial back again. Okay, Lakhi Singh. Right, so the question is, Tier 4, what's happening with it? Is the graph going up? Is it going down? Is it becoming a bit more clear now? What's happening with Tier 4? Is it becoming more transparent about this new mutation of the virus and where it's come from? Is it a fish market in Billingsgate or is it somewhere else?
Well, things are going from bad to worse to terrible. Because,
are they?
Yeah, things are going from bad to worse to terrible. Because you also have got a lot of the European countries now banning anybody coming in from the UK, including food deliveries and trucks. So there's a massive queue in Dover at the moment of lorries back to back. So Sainsbury's have actually done an announcement that we may be short of broccoli this year and maybe Brussels sprouts. So this could be quite a tough Christmas, you know that. We could be going back to World War II type situation where we're limited on food even.
Ooh, that's a bit dire. And I think it sounds too wild to be true. But have you heard this news, Mary? Do you know about the short fall on broccoli and sprouts? Do you know that's going to happen?
Yeah. Yes. We're in a tough time right now. There is going to be panic buying. I hope they reopen the link to France today, or I think it's meant to be tonight, is it? So we're going to wait and see. It's come on the back of Boris announcing that this strain of the virus is 70% more contagious. And I feel releasing that figure, whether it's right or wrong, was just a bad move, really. I'm not getting into politics here, but it's kind of caused obviously a mass panic. Also, Britain.
Do you think, though, Mary, do you think, just for 1 second, do you think that it was done on a whimsical wish, or do you think it was planned, or do you think it was thought out to even make that announcement, knowing that there would be an effect of it?
I think they had to come out quite severely about it, but I don't think they'd thought out the implications with us literally being closed down from all these other countries now. So I don't think they thought that out. I think what they were trying to do, because obviously they're putting 18 million people into tier 4 overnight, they were just trying to be really severe about that, and they had to have a big reason. There had to be a big reason. But what's happened now is, of course, is like, oh, don't come to my country. You're 70% more contagious than the previous strain. So, yeah, I mean, you know, we are in a much worse situation than we were in March. Well, I feel we are. We've got to see how it pans out.
Okay, Mary, I said we've got a comment for you. Somebody by the name of Julie Ford, is it? Yes, Julie Ford says, you're a bit of an icon. You didn't tell us, naughty girl. You were a bit of an icon.
I tried to, but you wouldn't let me.
Yeah, a bit of a superstar in the feminine world of property. Lakhi Singh, your rival, ching going on there. You'll see the sparks flying in a bit. There'll be lots of energy, fem energy coming into our drive time session. I love that. It's already warming me up. I feel much warmer than I was about 20 minutes ago. So, Lakhi, the announcement. I know you said, look, we're going to be short on sprouts and broccoli, but was there a deeper purpose behind it? It's a bit weird. She's right, Mary says. 18 million people put into lock tier 4. That's a bit drastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's going back to the sort of blockages. There's lots of airlines, Aeroflot have actually cancelled their flights altogether and not allowing any UK residents actually into the country. So anybody that was actually planning to go on holiday around this time of the year, especially on Sunday, I think, you know, number one, I think a lot of people have just cancelled their flights because they're worried about maybe quarantine or being able to get back in, or being stuck out somewhere if the rules and regulations are changing on a daily basis. So, I mean, I literally got approached by a very, very high net client yesterday, and they're trying to send some very high-end luxury goods to people that remain unknown, but they are sort of like, let's say, the top 4 or 5 people in Russia. But they can't send their luxury goods over because typically they tend to send them. These are small items of jewelry, but they can't send them over to Russia. So they're asking me, do you know any way that we can get our goods over to Russia? So Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, as always, found them a couple of solutions by introducing them to a private jet company, and also gave an idea to actually put an ad out on social media and just ask if anybody is traveling by other means to Russia. So they love that idea. So I think I'm going to be taken out to the Ritz once lockdown's over.
Ritz after lockdown. Lakhi Singh, there is a contrast in your world and our world, but I think we've got a person who's here. She's like a Power Ranger of Fem N. Mary, where are you making moves? What part of the country do you make moves in?
Well, I live in tier 2. I'm down in Brighton.
Ooh, sunny Brighton.
Yeah, we've been quite lucky throughout. We've remained in tier 2 really. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's quite, but I think that's all about to change. I think we'll probably all go into tier 4 quite soon. So
oh, is that what you feel?
Sorry, yeah, I believe we will.
Okay.
The figures.
Okay, you think everyone's going to go into tier 4. What makes you feel that we're all going to go into tier 4?
Because the figures that are being reported, I have to be very careful with my words here. The figures that are being reported for infections is just jumped so high. I think 4 times higher or something like that, and it's kind of mutating every 7 days. So yeah, I can't see any other way for them to bring down the numbers. Plus, obviously, if a lot more people contact it, then a percentage of that is obviously much higher risk. So the hospitals and that type of things will start filling up again. So yeah, we're about, you know, experiencing our highest numbers ever, really. So yeah.
Okay. What about yourself? Have you experienced the first wave at all, COVID? Were you affected, or did you have anyone around you who was, you know, been affected and recovered? I hope nobody, you know, has lost their life around you because of the virus. But have you actually come across, you know, the virus in a real situation of somebody who's near to you and dear to you that's been affected?
No, anybody close that, you know, no close family friend or anything like that. Obviously, I have heard of cases and a couple of people I know who've passed because of it. We've had a lot of cases in the schools. My children go to secondary school, so there's been a lot of cases there. Brighton has been quite low. Might be due to the outdoors, that type of thing. But yeah, I haven't been directly affected yet in that way.
Okay, that's good news in one respect. Yeah.
But yeah, so, but obviously we are starting to hear more and more people we know getting it or having it or what have you. So yeah.
Okay, interesting you say you're in the interior design world. So it's not quite clear what part of it, because I did ask and I wasn't quite clear. Are you into, is it fabrics, is it upholstery, is it just art and deco, is it just the furniture? Which bit of the interior design do you do? Is it the color matching?
No,
painting?
I mean,
what do you do?
I think you're right. It's a really broad word, interior design, because it can be anything from fitting a few curtains to all the way back to the actual design of the product, of the apartment.
That's right.
The house, what have you. So I'm all the way back to the beginning, really. So the layout, bathrooms, kitchens. I've worked on quite a lot of HMOs. So all the design all the way through. I create a concept, which I can present either for myself or for a client. And it's, so I really work on who's going to use the space. I've done quite a lot of co-living spaces. I've also recently just...
Okay, that sounds really intimate.
Yeah. So,
yeah, going back into where it all starts. Yeah. Reminds me a bit of Darwin's theory, Lakhi. Can you imagine cavemen having wanted someone to come in and put a few curtains around their windows inside their caves?
Yeah, I think cavemen are probably the most materialistic. You know, I think they probably want chandeliers. They probably want like a nice fireplace. Yeah, I think they'd probably want all those luxuries, but I don't think they could probably imagine them. I think that's why somebody like Mary's actually found a gap in the market.
She went back. You've gone back far as when it all started, and when men were just walking around with clubs and didn't really care what the colour of their curtains were. So, Mary, now
I don't use curtains, by the way. I don't use.
You don't use what?
I don't use curtains.
Oh, I love that. So what do you use?
Well, obviously these are properties that are either going to be sold or rented out. So you'd always use blinds, something like that, really. But to be honest, that's right at the end. That's the very end of the project. That's when you dress and stage and photograph. The most important thing is to design space really well. So especially for multi-use houses, or also if you're like I used to build properties for an end user that I didn't know yet, Russian clients. So you had to be really think out.
Okay, Mary, how would you start your exercise then?
I have to start with the end user. So who is going to use this space is always where you need to start.
That's good.
And then you work back.
What type of clients do you have then? Mary,
Sorry?
what type of clients do you generally have? Are they just bulk standard buy-to-lets? The landlord says, I just want the end user to be stacked in like sardines so I can maximize my rental.
You're not allowed to do that.
Oh, you're not allowed to do that anymore? Okay.
No.
So, I mean, I was just talking about design features so you could stack people in vertically and they could all be sleeping in. You could have 20 people in one bed sheet to maximize your rental income. Isn't that the way it works?
No, actually,
put all these lovely grills in so you can stand and sleep or something. All right. Okay. Well, that obviously I'm looking at. Yeah.
Actually, what I do I create a brand. It's very important to create a brand right now, not just a property portfolio. So I brand a client's portfolio, so it's very recognizable, very Instagrammable. Everything is online now, including renting rooms, selling properties, virtual viewings. So all of those things have to come. They're really top of what I do is to produce something for normally a property company, a developer, or a lot of my own projects that's just going to stand out, and that you can look and recognize it as that's a particular brand. So I'll always give my projects a theme, like bright young things, or inspired living, or conscious living. They'll always have a theme to them, and then I'll work it backwards and create an interior based on that, really. But that comes with a lot of experience.
Okay, so obviously your experience, and so you know what conscious living means, and what is the brand then? Is the brand the actual theme, or are you saying the brand is yourself? Are you the brand?
Obviously, for my portfolio, yes. My brand is Gold Prime Property, and
Prime Property.
Gold Prime Property, and
Gold Prime Property. I like that.
Yeah. But for instance, what I do is I will take a client's logo, their company colors, and that will be reflected in the property. A lot of people aren't really doing that. So for instance, you'll see a photograph of a room or something, maybe a rental, but it won't actually have the logo or the colors or the actual ethos of that company in there. But that's basically what I do. That's kind of what's unique to what I do.
So are you saying you do you predominantly work with corporates then, corporations?
Yeah, I don't work No, I don't work on people's homes because it's too personal, and I'm not that kind of designer, really. So I just work with property companies, landlords, either for resale or rental. And this year I've done 8 projects. 3 of them were my own projects, so that's the kind of numbers I did this year. Yeah.
Excellent. Even with lockdown?
Yes, I did that remotely, which was very difficult. And some of it was in another country, so even more difficult. But yeah, It's been a long year. It's been a tough year, I'll tell you. I'm amazed myself. I'm still smiling.
Well, look, that's it. It transmits through. I think you've got a lovely personality, and I think that's probably what wins most of your custom. Lakhi Singh, working remotely in the extent of actually doing a project which requires physical, I assume it requires some physical presence,
Yeah.
product items to be laid out, colors to be checked and then applied, etc. What do you think of this amazing woman?
Well, I think we've got to take her on for all our projects. I think when we get clients coming to us with that requirement,
I'd love
I think
to.
we've got to put MC Mary Cullen on our panel.
I like it.
MC, I like that.
I think you might have competition as well with a name like MC.
Power Rangers thing.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Power Rangers. Pardon?
I said you may have competition with a name like MC Mary Cullen.
MC, yeah. MC Mary Cullen. That makes sense. Okay, so what's the age of your kids, Mary? How old are they?
Oh, they are 11. They're 11 and 13. So
11 and 13.
11 and 13. So I talk to them a lot about property. They know quite a lot about property, and I want them to obviously I want them to be entrepreneurs. I want them to be self-supporting before they're 20. That's my plan for them. So
Excellent. That's really nice. That's okay. That's good. Giving direction to your children is probably again another upside to COVID. A lot of parents, I assume, haven't been able to give their children quality time during the normal active lives. Now that they're being forced to be indoors, maybe this is a good opportunity, like Mary's done generally in her children's upbringing, for people who haven't had that energy and the time to give their start talking to the little children walking around your house and giving them some input. I mean, I can't expect you to be giving a lecture to a 2-year-old because it wouldn't make sense. I'm talking about a child that's got some sense of their faculties and knows, what the color red means and what the color blue is. Lakhi Singh, you've got kids. Have you taken this lockdown time to give them more of your wonderful, successful mover self?
No, unfortunately, it's right the opposite because the way the land lies, I haven't been able to see them as much as I normally would. So it's been a bit tough on that side, to be honest. So my son's gone to university now, so I'm not really been able to see him because of lockdown. Travel is also limited, and my daughter, she's been very busy with her mock exams, so she's been heads down and not really having time at all because she's really got to focus. So
I suppose tier 4, I mean, we keep talking about the effects it's going to have on the economy. I think there's even a bigger part of the economy it's going to affect, and that's the youth, because we're going to have, I think, about a 3 or 4 years of a gap of young business people, entrepreneurs, employees. And I think that these 2 years or 3 years they're talking about until the economy gets back on its feet, it may seem like 2-3 years, but I think the actual knock-on effect of children not getting a normal education, not getting all the benefits of interacting and being in an education institution, that's going to affect them quite seriously. It's going to affect their ability to communicate and understand and relate. Isn't that going to be a big shock to the economy when you've got this big vacuum of kids who have just passed out from uni to children just about doing their O-levels, who've lost that sense of purpose and lost their sense of orientation because we've got literally like a stalemate in the economy? Isn't this going to hit us in 2 to 4 to 6 years, Lakhi? What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite tough actually, but there's always a silver lining to every cloud. So the positive way to look at it is exactly what MC Mary Cullen has actually devised, a master plan where you get a time to actually spend with your kids as well, because they, the love they may not be getting at school, let's say, the more love they can get at home.
Excellent. Mary, were you loving anyway? Or has this made the love grow at home?
I found lockdown very difficult. I had 2 children to homeschool and I was working full time, which is absolutely impossible. You can just imagine what that's like. Also, my daughter has dyslexia and dyscalculia, so she needs support to help to work. Plus, we have an educational system that's just was not online in any form. So a lot of people at home, there was a lot of people in the first lockdown had very, very different situations. Some people were enjoying the time out. They had a garden. They were furloughed. They were like, wow, I've got time I've ever had before. And then there was people like me, I guess, who have businesses, trying to save your business is very stressful. Trying to save your business with 2 children to homeschool every single day is just, you couldn't even dream it up, to be honest. But we did get through it, and I do think a lot of parents have got closer to the school system, what your children are learning, what they know or don't know, how a lot of it is just ridiculous. And that's why I feel I've upped my thoughts on making sure that when they go to university or when they do whatever they're going to do, they're doing it for fun. They're certainly not doing it for financial reasons, because I want them to be financially secure quite soon, because it, as Lakhi said, the whole work has changed, and we've leaped probably 5 to 6 years ahead in terms of being online, and and so everything is completely different, I would say, than it was.
Trying to run business then from home, I can understand it must have been really difficult with the kids. Where do you see the future of what you're doing, and what we've spoke about these topics in the previous weeks, that people are making changes, adjusting, looking for new ways of doing business. Lakhi, I think Ninder Singh, Johal, we've had him on, a very famous MC, a bit of an MC like you. You're a famous lady. What's it now? Femin. That's right, Femin. That's right, famine. Probably sounds right. Probably, yeah, famine.
Famine. Yeah.
Yes, famine. And he's more of an entrepreneur, a DJ, and a mover and shaker in the music world. He's an MC, and he was actually talking on the regular slot that he has, and said that, well, you've got to start thinking outside the box. You've got to start trying to do your business in a new way. You've got to really put that extra mile in. So tell me, what are the things that you've learned in this year that you had to do that you weren't thinking about before, because you were quite happy to get on a plane and fly out and do your project? What have you had to think about this time? How have you managed it?
I think property business can be quite time intensive for your time. So I did invest into another business this year, which is more on the trading platform. So that's performing really well and takes very little input from me. So I think it's diversifying, not having all your eggs in one basket definitely is really important. And so, yeah, I've pivoted in certain areas, closed down certain parts of the business, so I put a lot more stuff online. I'll be growing that in the next year. So, and probably spending less time traveling in the future for work, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, great. And how much of the business that you do is in Brighton? Have you kept a lot of your business around the corner, or is it all across the whole of the UK?
I've only lived in Brighton a short time, less than 2 years. And
Okay.
before that, I was in West Sussex. Before that, I was abroad. So I do a lot of stuff up north in the northwest, all the way from North Wales up to Lancashire, Liverpool, Manchester, all that area. My design work I can do anywhere, basically. I will be doing an international project next year abroad again. But this year I'm probably going to concentrate on growing the portfolio down here in the south this year coming, and also developing more of my online business and my knowledge around property, because inherently I just love helping people, and I want to take that knowledge and put it more online, have it more accessible.
Excellent. Well, I think Lakhisingh, the property fixer, will probably be able to give you some tips or good advice if you need them.
Yeah.
You seem like a lady who's got her, she's got you got your bearings about you. You know what you're doing and how you're doing. I think it's really refreshing to actually, to be honest with you, it's quite inspiring, because I think you just sound so strong to be able to be, adjusting and managing all that. And I have a sense of a feeling from what I hear about you, is that you are a very internally a very strong person. But it reflects in your conversation. So Lakhisingh, what advice do you have to feminine out there, the feminines out there who are looking up to someone like Mary and thinking, I wish I had all of those stresses and all of the business that she has?
Well, I think Mary's let's just say a very good example of somebody who's very innovative. She's quite a creative person. I would call her a creative, and I think she's brought the business side of it is always difficult to try and get the creative side in the balance with the business. So if you've got a knack at something, which Mary undoubtedly has, then understanding how you can actually monetize it is really critical. So the advice is that you do your research. You can talk to Mary. I mean, she's here. You can DM her. If you've got projects, she understands the full life cycle of how to be successful with HMOs. And if you already got a couple of HMOs or a couple of things that you're already doing with your portfolio, she can probably help you to better position yourself as a brand, as a person, as a personal brand. I'm sure she's got all those sort of skills as well. So I think do your research, do your numbers, understand what your USP is, which is what's your strength, because it may be that if you're very good at sourcing assets and sourcing HMOs, then you just need somebody to plug in on making them look the best and brand yourself well. Then you got to find the right team around you to actually help you build yourself up. So lots of things to do, but they're not. They won't happen overnight. You've got to do your research, do your numbers, and everything will start coming together. Just build the right team around you.
Hey, question to you. If you were building a theme around Lakhisingh, the property fixer, what colour would you have your HMO in? And would you have lots of hands crossed like that, showing the fixer everywhere on all the doors? How would you design Lakhisingh's HMO? What would you do first?
Firstly, it's not Lakhisingh's HMO. It's going to be the end user's HMO. So it's very important.
Okay, a quick question. No, before we continue. HMO end user, but each end user is going to be different. And HMOs are not long-term accommodations. They're always short, like based upon a short-term contract. So are you saying every time you have a new tenant, you're going to go in there and refurb it all according to the end user?
No, I mean, obviously this group, you know, you could, it depends who you're targeting, you know. For instance, at the moment, I think there's a big demand for over 35 HMOs, people over 35. There's this sector in the market, like, so firstly, keep looking for HMOs. You can't just churn out what everybody else is churning out, because it, you know, there's tough competition. So you have to keep thinking, you know, if I was doing more HMOs now, I'd be looking at pet HMOs, or over 35 HMOs, or over 50 HMOs, or, you know, more special, you know, because people want to group themselves. I've got a friend at the moment looking for a room in a HMO, and she's late 40s. So of course everyone's in their 20s. So I just know there's more people like her. So obviously a HMO for 20 somethings will look very different to a HMO for 50 somethings. So
okay, so I mean, look, this is Mary's ingenuity. I think she's got a wonderful sense of purpose about her. Now, so if you were going to design something that was for a plus of 50, let's say a 60-plus-year-old, and you had Lakhi there as your ideal client, and you had someone like me in the same HMO under 35, how would you design my room, and how would you design Lakhi's room?
Well, actually, the rooms, you know, they have to be very generic. It can't be very, although in saying that, my rooms can be very styled. I tend to use, at the moment, I think it's all about us returning to nature, returning to, you know, there's been this huge shift, and also things like recycling. So I'll use all those kind of things in colors, planting. I create billboard type things which have got positive mindset, which will be in corridors. For instance, bathrooms will have to have really nice big showers, you know, things that create that really comfortable living.
So what would you put in Lakhi's HMO? Would you put lots of like Zimmer frames and lots of
no, but you put like a really good quality, you put really good quality beds, a good quality mattress. You know, I wouldn't want anybody living in a place, I'd want to live there as well, you know. So some of my rooms I go and see, I'm thinking, wow, I'd live here. This looks better than my house. So people will want to pay for quality. If they feel comfortable and it's a nice space, they will stay. And the reason people move around accommodation is because they want a home. So I think everybody should have, I've bought a palace. Everyone should have a palace in their life, whether it's one shared bed in a house or an actual palace. So just try and make people have that special
beautiful thinking. I love that. A bit like Narnia, isn't it? Walking through the wardrobe and ending up in another part of the planet. What about for someone like me, under 35-year-old? What would you put in my room?
I don't know if you'd be suitable for a house share, honestly.
Home share, yeah, I'll be a home share. I'll share my home.
I'm not sure if it would work out with you in a HMO.
I think they'll take you in a care home.
Pardon?
I think maybe a care home.
That might help. I'll come and see you in a care home. Yeah, Lakhi Singh. I'll come and see you in the plus of 60 care home that she's setting up for you. Yeah, I'll come and see you every day. Talking of that, we have one of your wonderful followers, Julie Ford, says there is a demand for single dads. That's not bad. Single dad HMOs where children can come and see their dad in a safe environment.
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
That's a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I get a lot of single dads, and they have a real requirement. It's a tricky one though, because obviously
the single dads, yeah.
It's tricky because if they have children, obviously that they want every second weekend, then how does that work? You know, it's a difficult one. But yeah, as Julie
maybe having one of those one room dedicated as a guest room only. Once they have their children, it's on a rota, something like that. I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
I can do that.
Yeah, I could do that. That could work. It's like a guest room for the children, and it would work on a rota. Lakhi Singh, thank you so much. We've run out of time. Mary, MC, potential to be taking my seat. I'm jealous now. I'm going to be very guarded of you coming back on again. Right, MC and Lakhi Singh, thank you so much today. It's been a lovely conversation. Your energy has transmitted. I'm honest about that. I think you sent lots of love hearts following you. And you've got Julie, who's obviously an admirer of yourself. Lakhi Singh, as usual, coming in with his wonderful fixing solutions. Lakhi Singh, the property fixer, on the alternative business and property solutions community. I will see you again tomorrow, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. with a new listener. Mary, we will invite you back soon. There's lots more we can talk about. You're a lovely lady and a lovely energy source. Thank you so much.
I think you got competition, VJ Sal.
Yeah, I'll have
I think Mary MC might make a better MC than you.
I am watching you. Don't you try and take my spot.
Fan power.
Bye-bye.